Let's take a journey into the world of the slightly mystic. Hi everyone, I'm here today to talk about a couple of unusual reads, books that you won't really see very often popping up on BookTube. So I've talked quite openly in the past about how things such as magic and ghosts and sort of spiritual things, the paranormal, all that sort of thing interest me. They interest me greatly. And I have picked up a couple of books that I have never seen mentioned before, but I have found them interesting. The first book that I'm going to talk about is one that I have featured on my channel before, and it's this one. This is The Occult, Witchcraft and Magic, an illustrated history by Christopher Dell. I picked this up after spotting it in a shop, and I haven't read all of it yet, but I've been dipping in and out of it, and it just sort of talks about witchcraft and the history of witchcraft, and it's got some very interesting drawings. It's just an absolutely beautiful book for anybody who's interested in all things mystical. So it has diagrams, it has just a whole host of information. I mean, you can see it's a lovely hardback book, and it's just one that I'm really glad that I've got in my collection for just, again, dip in and out of. I blame school for getting me interested in witchcraft, because we did a module on witchcraft when I was in year 10, and I just found it so fascinating that this was the way people used to live their lives. And then I found out that witchcraft was still continuing and people were practicing witchcraft. And just my tiny little mind at the time was completely blown. And since then I've been very interested in the whole witchcraft road, and I do enjoy reading stories that have witchcraft as a theme. So this goes all the way back to a history of things from the Stone Age, and it goes into Freemasonry and magic in the modern world. So it is a big old book, but it's a beautiful one, and I'm really pleased that I've got this on my shelf, and it was worth the money that I spent on it. The next book that I've got is this one. This is a bit different. This is Stories in the Stars, an atlas of constellations, and this talks about all the different constellations, and it's got diagrams showing you what they look like, and it's got information about each one, and it's just for anybody who's interested in the stars and the night sky. It's a brilliant read. This is actually my husband's book, and he's really interested in stars and the night sky and all that. And I've not actually read this one myself because I am not a great lover of the stars and astrology and things. I don't know why, it just doesn't interest me that much. But my other half is interested in the constellations. He's not into astrology or anything like that, but he really does like the stars. And he says this is one of the best books I've ever bought for him. So if you're into your stars and your constellations, do give this one a look up. Next one that I've got is the last one that I have already mentioned on my channel in a previous video. It's Unexplained by Richard McLean Smith, and this is supernatural stories for uncertain times. It's a collection of true life supernatural stories. So you've got things such as what can a case of demonic possession in 1970s Germany teach us about free will? What might we learn about how to construct reality from a case of a poltergeist in the Fens? And what can a supposed instance of reincarnation in Middlesbrough tell us about how we develop a concept of self? This speaks to me on every level. As I've said, I love unexplained mysteries. I love the supernatural. I just love the idea of a world that we don't actually know fully about, that's running sort of concurrent alongside ours. And so this book sort of just taps into that. The next book that I've got, I have had for many years. So I have this one. It's called Black Hats and April Fools. This book should have a cover, but I've lost it. And it is a look at superstitions and where they came from and the origins of them. And my grandma was extremely superstitious. Everything had a good luck, bad luck vibe. She carried little talismans around with herself, and she used to tell me a lot about different superstitions and things. And I wouldn't consider myself an extremely superstitious person. There are a few things that I won't get into, but there are a few things that I do have and hold and what have you. But this book delves into a lot of the old sayings. I think this will be more sort of a UK centred book, I think. I'm not sure if a lot of these traverse the seas, like I'm not sure if they have April Fool's Day in America or in any other country actually. I'm not sure if it's just a UK thing, but this is a brilliant book, and it looks into all the different superstitions, and if my grandma was still alive, I think she would love this book. I really do. So if you're interested in all the old superstitions of the UK and things, you must give this one a look at. It probably won't be that expensive anymore either, because it's a very old book. I've had it for years. That's Black Hats and April Fools by Harry Oliver, and as always I'll have all of the books linked down below. And the final book that I got is a massive wild card, because I've never actually told anybody that I read these sort of books, but I do. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret, but I have this book here, and this is Pagan Paths by Pete Jennings, a guide to Wicca, Druidry, something that I can't read, shamanism, and other pagan practices. I picked up a few books like this because, as I said, I got very interested in witchcraft when we were talking about witchcraft at school, and when I found out that it was still practiced in modern day Britain and modern day worldwide, I became extremely interested, and then I found that witchcraft is from the Wiccan religion, and Wiccan is a sect of paganism. So obviously, being the book-centered person that I am, I picked up a few books about paganism beliefs. I will say these types of books aren't really made to be easy reads. They're not very anecdotal. They're very sort of knowledge heavy. And it tells you about all the different sects of paganism and what they believe, and I found it a fascinating read, and it really helped me understand a lot more about the world, because I now understand a lot of different pagan religions, and it really opened my eyes to the world. Yeah, so I love this. I mean, a lot of it I didn't quite understand, and I haven't read too much into the bits that I didn't understand, so I wouldn't say I'm an expert on paganism by all means, but it really interested me. And so if you're interested in finding out about the old sort of world religions, this is a good little starting point. So there you have it. There's probably some books there that you've never heard of before. If you're also interested in all things supernatural, witchy, or that sort of thing, do let me know down below, and if you have any recommendations for me, please also do let me know down below, or you can reach me on Twitter. I'm at Rosie Sparkles. But if you stick it through the end, well done, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.